Today we are going to take our texture rubbing artwork that we made last week, and we're going to cut shapes out of our texture rubbing papers and glue them to a new sheet of paper to create our own little world. You can add on with additional colors if you want to, but you will need a pair of scissors today and some glue. I'm going to use glue stick, but you can also use glue bottle, whatever you have at home. So you want to think about the world that you would like to make, as well as looking at the textures that you chose to rub. So I chose to rub some tree bark and some wood. So I think that this texture would make a really great tree trunk because it looks like tree bark already. So I'm going to cut a big rectangle out of it. So the first thing I want to do is I want to draw with a pencil the shape that I want to cut out, in this case a rectangle. Then I want to take my scissors and, keeping them facing straight ahead, cut along the lines that I drew. When I get to the end of my line, I can turn my paper. Keeping my scissors straight ahead, I can cut along that line. Turn my paper and cut, and at last, back to the front. There's my rectangle. And I also need the top of a tree. And gosh, wouldn't you think that this beautiful leaf looks like the top of a tree? If I glue these two things together, it would sure look like I have a tree trunk and the top of a tree. So that's what I'm going to do. Now this is a more tricky shape. So I might have to use what we call a bubble cut. And a bubble cut is where I cut kind of big around my whole shape, almost like a big bubble. So it might be wiggly or it might be smooth, but it's big first. And I'm just going to cut all the way around my shape. And do you notice how my paper is moving, but my scissors are staying straight? That's the big thing with bubble cuts. Okay? And it should all be kind of smooth because bubbles are circles, right? Now I can decide if I want to go in and cut away some of these more detail areas, and I can look at where my texture shapes are. Do you see that big C shape? I'm going to go in and cut that. So I'm going to hold it so that my scissors are still pointing straight ahead, and I'm going to cut and rotate my paper around. And then I'm going to go all the way off so that little piece of paper falls off. And now it's on the table and I have it no longer on my paper. So I'm going to do this a little bit and really make that texture of that leaf turn really cool. Okay, so I'm going to go and cut all of this out and then we'll come back together. Okay, I went and cut out my leaf shape, and I also decided to use some of my other texture paper to cut out a bunch of other shapes as well. I have some triangles and some rectangles. I could have done ovals or cloud shapes. There's lots of shapes out there that I could use, but I'm going to use these and I'm going to make my little scene. So sometimes you have to kind of think to yourself, what is your scene going to be, so you know what to do, but I thought of that and I decided I wanted to make like a little house with a window and a door with the chimney. So I cut out some different pieces that I could use for that. And then I wanted that tree with my trunk. So there is my little scene that I've designed with my texture shapes. And so now I want to glue this down. The thing you want to think about before you start gluing is you want to think about what's on the bottom. So like this tree top, because it has this long piece, actually has to go down first before the trunk. And this larger rectangle has to go down before I can glue on the door and the window. Do you see that? So order sometimes matters. So that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my shapes over and rub my glue stick on it. And really get a little bit of glue on there. Turn it over. And press down my shape. And I want to hold it down, count to 10, and then put glue on my next shape and hold it down and count to 10. Now, if any of your pieces come off the edge like mine did here, you can always cut those when you're all done. I'm going to go ahead and make my whole little city, and then I might add some grass or something with my drawing crayons just to finish it up and make it look super nice. Have fun making your own design!